we have once again the Honda HR-V. Let's do another review. The HR-V is Honda's entry into the subcompact crossover segment. If you've watched the reviews of the other variant, you'll know that we really like this. This time, we have the top-of-the-line variant. This is the 2023 Honda HR-V 1.5 RS Turbo, and it's priced at 1,739,000 Philippine pesos. And looking at the exterior, the HR-V is very sleek with its slim multi-reflector LED headlights with the LED DRL on top that reminds me of eyeliner. Since this is the RS, it gets sequential turn signals, a chrome mesh grille, and gloss black and chrome on the bumper. The side is identical with other HR-V variants but with larger 18-inch gunmetal gray alloy wheels and gloss black finishes for the body cladding since this is the RS. And moving towards the rear, you'll notice the clear lens taillights for this variant, LED of course, and more of that gloss black and chrome on the bumper. Dual exhausts can also be found below. You'll probably be surprised to know that this still does not get a power tailgate because at this price, it should. Anyway, cargo space is the HR-V's strong suit as you can fit about 4 small pieces of luggage. You can also expand the space with Honda's ULT seats, which allow you to fold the second row flat, fold the front passenger seat flat, or fold the rear seat bottoms up, making this very practical. And now we're inside the HR-V RS, and this is largely identical to what we've already seen on the lower variants that we've reviewed before. So we have that layered design, materials are the same, so soft touch here, slightly soft touch, hard touch plastics on top of the dashboard, and then we also have soft touch here in the door panels, a little bit of that slightly soft touch again, and leather for the armrest. And I just really like the overall aesthetic of this interior. I really love the use of horizontal lines, the design that they have here, and then the aircon vents, which are quite unique because they have this diffused air function, and of course those clicky sounds which are just very satisfying. And then some differences that we have here compared to the lower variants. For the steering wheel, we have red stitching. It's the same steering wheel. We have our audio controls on the left and then our cruise controls on the right, our Honda sensing controls on the right. Then we also have paddle shifters, and our horn is that very European sounding horn, which is not the usual for these kinds of cars. So that sounds really nice. Then what I do wish they changed is the instrument cluster, because we still have that half digital, half analog display in this variant, just like in the lower variants. But I don't mind, this is a very nice screen, but still I do wish that they provided us with a full digital instrument cluster like what we have in the Civic RS and the Honda CR-V. Then here in the center, we still have the same touchscreen infotainment system as well. It's 8 inches, the same one as we find in the Honda City, and it's that old school CRT TV looking type thing. So we have that huge box here in the back. I wish we had the same screen that we had in the Honda Civic RS as well and Honda HR-V, but this does work pretty well. So it's very responsive, it's very easy to use, it's very basic, that's why it's very easy to use, and everything that you want to do is where you'd expect them to be. Then on the right, you also have some buttons which are of course very helpful, although they're positioned for right-hand drive vehicles, not left-hand drive. The volume button is over there. Not as easy as a knob, but at least it's a physical button. Then we have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well, so that always just really makes the screen look better overall. Then moving down, we have dual zone automatic climate control, and it also has those very satisfying sounding knobs that we have come to love in these new Honda vehicles. And the light around the knob also changes color depending on if you're making it colder or warmer. Then moving down, we have 2 USB ports and loads of storage area. So we have one here on top and another one on the bottom with our 12-volt power outlet. Then we have here our usual Honda shifter, which we're basically seeing in all their models these days. Then we also have a reverse camera if you put it in reverse, and that is our multi-view camera, so we have different views available over there. Also showing up on the screen is the lane watch camera, so you can activate it either by pressing the button on the signal light stalk or use the right turn signal, and that shows us what's in our blind spot. Very helpful when you are changing lanes. And then moving back down here to the center console, we have 2 cup holders. We have our drive mode selector, so we have Econ, Normal, and Sport modes here in the RS, which are the same as in the V, by the way. Then we have our hill descent control button and our electronic parking brake with auto hold function. Then of course we have a center armrest here with a decent amount of storage underneath. Then our seats are the same as what we have in the V as well, except that we have red stitching now because this is the RS. So everything is the same. Even the headrest, which does have a little bit of additional support on the side, is the same as in the V variant. And this is a very comfortable seat. It has a decent amount of support. The leather material they used is really nice. It feels premium, and it's also perforated, which is very nice. And now we're at the back of the HR-V RS, and the only difference that we get here are the red stitching on the seats. So that's all that we get upgraded here in the RS. But this is a very good place to be because we have lots of space, loads of leg room, and loads of knee room. So this is very spacious. Headroom is a bit tight because of the lower roof line, but I don't mind because I'm only about 5 feet 7 inches. I don't need that much space. And then materials are not the same as what we have in front. So we have hard touch plastics instead of the soft touch that we have over there. Then our cup holder is located up here because we don't have storage down there, but this is very convenient, so it's easier to reach your drinks when they're up here. And then over here we have, of course, a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Then down there we have 2 aircon vents, 2 USB ports, and some more storage. And now we're driving the Honda HR-V RS, and since this is not our first time to drive the HR-V, we've driven the base model, which was the non-turbo, and the mid variant, which also has the same engine as this RS. So this is very familiar with us already. So let's start with the engine first. So this is powered by the same 1.5 liter inline 4 VTEC turbo gasoline engine that produces 175 horsepower and 240 Newton meters of torque paired to an Earth Dreams CVT. And that's the same engine that we get in the Honda Civic, the whole lineup, and the mid variant V again. And I will say, no matter how many times I drive this again, no matter how many times I experience this engine, it's really one of the best in the industry today. It just really responds very well to any inputs. The acceleration, torque are all good. It's very rare to find an instance where this would not feel enough, and it's actually more than enough. And despite the influx of other Chinese crossovers that come with a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more torque, and with a dual clutch transmission, which is performance oriented, this still feels the best, really. And I really think that there is nothing to complain about this engine other than the fact that it has a CVT. Because that CVT, while it's still very smooth, Honda has one of the best CVTs. There are times that it will feel a bit sluggish, especially when you are going for hard accelerations. But just put it on sport mode or keep it in normal mode, use the paddle shifters, there won't be any problem at all. And on the bright side, having that CVT does make for a very smooth drive. So there's no jerkiness, lag is very minimal actually, despite this being a turbo with CVT. Then one thing that I do find is one of the best things about the HR-V is steering and its handling. So steering feel is on the lighter side, and it's actually a bit lighter than I remember, but it's still weighted enough that it provides very good feedback, and it also handles really well because it just feels very planted, and typical with any Honda really, that you have very good handling. It's very fun to drive, it's very comfortable, it's a very balanced feel that you get here in the HR-V, and just like in other Hondas as well. Well, in the performance aspect, this does differ a bit from the other HR-Vs because this, being the RS, has agile handling assist, which, based on my understanding, makes this more agile when you drive it. So it acts like a torque vectoring feature, so it distributes the power more evenly, and it really helps in making this an even more fun to drive vehicle. It makes you even more confident when taking twisties, when taking sharp corners. It's just all, Honda just really went all out with how they tuned this car. But as with many Honda vehicles, NVH insulation is something that can still be improved. Road noise is kinda loud even at lower speeds, especially when the roads are a bit roughly textured. So that's one thing. But I do like a little bit of road noise here and there, but still, I think it could be a bit quieter. But in terms of vibrations, ride quality, everything is good as well. It's not too, the ride is not too firm, but it's also not overly soft, which is all good as well. Visibility is also one really good thing about the HR-V because despite the windows looking a bit small, it's actually very good when you look around the vehicle. So there are not that many blind spots. Then we have that lane watch camera, which I mentioned earlier, which really helps when you are using the right turn signal and when you want to change to the right lane. And I want to go back to the engine for a bit because being a Honda, this sounds really pleasing to hear, especially when you put your foot down. So let's just put it, and it sounds really good. It's not the best because of the CVT, but still, being a Honda, sounds really good. Then again, push it a bit in the corners and you have a very stable, you have a very planted vehicle that just feels really good to push around. I mean, when you're not pushing it around, this is a very good economy car as well because it does get very good fuel economy. Most people would think that because of the turbo engine it won't, but it actually does. So inside the city, we're able to achieve 11 kilometers per liter in mixed conditions. So both light, heavy, moderate traffic all combined, we got 11 kilometers per liter. And on the highway, we're able to achieve 20 kilometers per liter, which may sound a bit low for a Honda vehicle, but it's actually pretty good overall. And before we end, let's talk about the Honda Sensing, which is standard on the entire HRV lineup. We have adaptive cruise control with low speed follow, emergency braking, everything that you can ask for and that you actually need is standard on the HRV. And in typical Honda fashion, like I've mentioned so many times, this is one of the best in the industry. There's really nothing to complain when it comes to the Honda Sensing suite in this vehicle. The Honda HRV RS is surely done right. It's the best driving in the segment, the most well-built, and perhaps the best looking too. There are still a few things it could improve, but they can easily be forgiven. Yes, the price is quite steep, but if you can afford it, then this is one crossover you won't regret.